Hello and welcome back to World News here on TVP World. I'm Anna Kalczyńska. Today, Romanians are voting in the first round of presidential elections, voting rerun after last year's failed attempt. The candidate lineup is quite different this time, and our correspondent Paweł Trzaskowski is there on site and has this report. Good morning, Paweł. So how is the voting going?
Well, the voting is already well underway in Romania, and a huge turnout is expected today, mainly, as you rightly mentioned, because this is a rerun of the failed presidential vote from 2024, which was eventually cancelled, annulled by the country's constitutional court. And it was cancelled on the basis of malign foreign interference that was supposed to favor an extreme right candidate, Călin Georgescu. Well, Călin Georgescu was eventually banned from running in this rerun, and this is why the candidate lineup is quite different this time round. One familiar face is that of George Simeon, a leader of the right-wing Our party. He took part in the 2024 failed attempt with moderate success, but this time he is leading the polls, having consolidated the votes of Romanian rights and with the backing of Călin Georgescu himself. And he's being closely followed by Crin Antonescu, a veteran Romanian politician who returned from his political retirement to run as a candidate backed by the current ruling coalition. He actually voted right here in this polling station, and I would like you to listen to what he had to say upon casting his ballot.
Everything. But what a nice day, what a beautiful day, what an important day. For me, it's important to vote, and I just gave my vote for a united Romania, a strong Romania, and for the future of our children.
Well, Antonescu is one of the candidates expected to be given the chance to make it to the second round. Other candidates, potential candidates who could get into the second round, are the mayor of Bucharest, Nicușor Dan, and former Prime Minister Victor Ponta. More will be known today when the polling stations close at 8 p.m. and I will be here to keep you posted. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Paweł Trzaskowski from Bucharest. Beautiful weather in Bucharest, as you can see, so that favors high turnout. We'll keep you updated, of course. At least 11 people, including 2 children, have been injured in overnight Russian drone strike on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Air raid warning sounded across the city in the early hours of Sunday morning. Officials said that falling debris from destroyed drones sparked fires that set several residential buildings ablaze. Ukraine's emergency service said a force of more than 70 firefighters were deployed to tackle the flames. Meanwhile, the governor of the central Ukrainian region of Cherkasy said the Russian drone attack late on Saturday had also sparked several fires. Ukraine is ready to move towards an immediate 30-day ceasefire if Russia is ready to match the initiative with a complete pause in fighting, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said in his nightly address on Saturday. The Ukrainian leader said Moscow's military activities instead indicated that President Putin had no real interest in peace.
We are preparing for important foreign policy events, meetings and negotiations. The key question is whether our partners can influence Russia to accede to a complete ceasefire, a durable ceasefire that would allow us to seek a way out of this war. We are ready to move toward a ceasefire as soon as possible, even starting today, if Russia is ready to take reciprocal steps to establish a complete silence, a lasting ceasefire of at least 30 days. This is a fair time frame to prepare the next steps. Russia must stop the war and halt its assaults and shelling. Currently, the intensity of Russian strikes indicates nothing but Russia's desire to continue fighting. Every night, nearly 100 Shahed drones are launched. This week alone, from Monday to Saturday, over 950 Russian aerial bombs have already been used. Intense fighting continues every day on the Pokrovsk direction and in other areas of the Donetsk region.
російських авіабомб.
100 days into Donald Trump's presidency, peace in Ukraine remains a distant mirage. With the Russians' demands mounting and no clear signs of Russia's coming to the table, many are wondering what to expect going forward. Our guest on TVP World, Roland Freudenstein, says that the minerals deal does not provide any guarantees for Ukraine and that he sees a U.S. disengagement as still remaining a possibility.
Well, let's be realistic. I mean, so far the reintroduction of intelligence sharing and military assistance is not a long-term commitment. In the minerals deal, it is only said that the United States basically approves of a peaceful Ukraine, and it kind of labels Russia as the aggressor, but there is no clear language, neither in the minerals deal nor in any other statement from Washington, that quantifies and qualifies American assistance to Ukraine with hardware, with intelligence, with other kinds of support. So is the Kremlin strategy working to wear the West out? It's too early to say, honestly. Putin's hope is clearly that the United States walks away in frustration and then at some point stops or supporting Ukraine or significantly decreases its support. And let's remember that this was actually a campaign promise by Trump, is to actually alleviate the burden on the American taxpayer, which means nothing else than stopping to support Ukraine.
In what could be labeled as an end to an era, Warren Buffett has announced his decision to step down as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway conglomerate. At the end of the year, the vice chair of the company, Greg Abel, will take over. In his 60 years chairing Berkshire, Warren Buffett has transformed the company from a failing textile company into a multinational conglomerate holding. The 94-year-old businessman announced his plans to retire at Berkshire's annual meeting and named Greg Abel as his successor. Buffett added that he has no intention of selling any of his shares in the company. And commemorations events are being held at the Dachau Nazi concentration camp in southern Germany to mark the 80th anniversary of its liberation. Earlier this year, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance paid his respect to those killed at the camp when he traveled to Munich for the Global Security Forum. At least 41,000 people were killed in the Dachau camp and more than 200,000 were imprisoned there. The U.S. Army 45th Infantry Division liberated the concentration camp on April 29th, 1945. The main service on Sunday will hear from camp survivors and a representative from the U.S. Liberation Force. The Netherlands will later on Sunday pay tribute to those citizens who have lost their lives in conflict or peacekeeping missions since the beginning of the Second World War. The Dutch royal family, government representatives, and relatives of the victims will lay wreaths at the National Monument in Amsterdam. At 8 p.m. this evening, 2 minutes of silence will be strictly observed across the country. Cars will pull over to the side of the road, public transport will pause, and there will be no takeoffs or landing at Schiphol Airport. Ceremonies are held in towns and villages around the country, including in remote locations where members of the Dutch Second World War resistance movement were executed by Nazi German troops. Storms and downpours have rolled through Poland, leaving behind fallen trees, broken branches and flooded basements. The destruction is most severe in the central part of Poland. A powerful storm front has rolled through Poland, bringing strong winds, heavy rain and even hailstorms. Firefighters have responded to some 250 fires in the last few hours. Extreme weather conditions are expected to continue throughout the weekend. The Polish Institute of Meteorology and Water Management has issued extreme weather warnings for the southern part of the country. Ivana Stradner from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies says the Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić uses every opportunity to challenge the West. Vučić is to take part in Moscow's Victory Day parade, but his participation is not yet 100% certain.
Actually, he says that Serbia is on the EU path, but he never mentions EU memberships. And that's a very problematic thing because he needs EU money for his political survival. And in the meantime, he has had a very, very close ties to Russia since he came to power. The only thing that shifted slightly was Russia's full invasion of Ukraine in 2022, when he realized that he absolutely then needs to ramp up his balancing strategy. But he never gave up on Russia. When it comes to Russia's parade, it's typically Russia's propaganda to rewrite the history. But nevertheless, Vučić takes every opportunity to challenge the West. We'll see actually whether he will go or not, because suddenly both Fico and Vučić became ill today. So we'll see if they will actually go to Russia after EU send a clear message that this will be unacceptable.
One of NATO's most significant military drills of the year has begun in Norway. The exercises aim to strengthen Europe's air and sea defenses and also serve as a major show of force.
This week, the skies and seas of Norway's northwest coast are the stage for the formidable Shield, NATO's largest maritime air defense and missile exercise in Europe this year. Thousands of troops and assets from 10 allied nations, including the US, UK, France and Canada, are taking part. Drills will involve a series of live-fire rehearsal events against subsonic, supersonic and ballistic targets, involving multiple allied vessels, ground forces and aviation forces from participating nations. Over land and sea, advanced systems like NASAMS, Nomads and HIMARS are being tested against a range of targets. Fighter jets, including F-35, will also join in these high-precision exercises.
The exercise is both large and important. It helps train protection against advanced air threats and ensures a strong Allied presence in Norwegian areas.
The drills are a powerful demonstration of military strength and run through May 10th before moving to Scotland's Hebrides for the next phase.
Ukraine is ramping up its use of homegrown drone technology in its fight against Russian forces. Soldiers have demonstrated their newest frontline weapon, the Sync UAV, or unmanned aerial vehicle. In fast, precise and apparently packs quite a punch. Originally introduced as a reconnaissance drone in 2023, the Sync has since been upgraded into an autonomous dual-purpose strike-reckon platform. Costing just over €40,000 per unit, the system includes 2 drones, a catapult launcher and a mobile control station. With a 170 kilometers range and 4-kilo payload, the reusable, night-capable drone targets air defenses, armored vehicles and radars. Each strike opens corridors for other UAVs by disabling Russian systems. The name, Sync, Ukrainian for owl, is a nod to its nocturnal capabilities. By early 2024, Sync drones had destroyed over $100 million worth of Russian assets, and Ukraine's military say they're just getting started. And that's all for now in this edition of World News, but please stay tuned to TVP World for more commentaries and other features.